Hello and welcome to Salty About Health. My name is Dalaney Algier, and I'm here with my mom and co-host, Mary. So, Mom, why are we salty about health?
Good question. It's because both of us have had struggles, some more serious than others, and no one showed us simple ways we could jump into the driver's seat and take control.
And why are we sharing our views with our listeners?
Well, because we want our listeners to realize that it may take time, but with some simple knowledge about health, they'll be able to make a few changes and dig deeper to take control of their well being and live a more vibrant life.
That's fantastic. But right now, before we get into all of that, we just need to do some housekeeping. Here we go. This is an opinion-based podcast. This is not in any way offered as a diagnosis or treatment for any disease, illness, or infirmity for physical or mental condition or any other condition you may have. We are not doctors or practitioners of any kind. Persons needing medical care should obtain it from a medical practitioner. So, consult your practitioner before making any health decision. The opinions offered here in this podcast are ours alone. Again, we're not doctors, and the banter you're going to be listening to is our view and our view alone. Okay, that's done. We, of course, also want to have an open dialogue with our listeners. So stay tuned to the end of the episode, and we'll let you know all of the ways that we can connect. Welcome, everyone. Mom and I are so happy to have you back for episode 20. This is going to sound strange, but we're going to talk about vinegar on this episode. Yep, piss and vinegar, right? I don't know how she comes up with the topics, but I think we will all learn a lot today. Not only can you use vinegar in recipes, but you can also use it for cleaning, laundry, pests, health, and beauty. So let's get started and find out the how, the why, the what, the when, the good, the bad, the ugly about vinegar.
Ooh, that sounds great, Dalaney. First, let's get some background on vinegar. The word vinegar arrived in Middle English from Old French, which in turn has derived from Latin, meaning sour wine. Vinegar is an aqueous solution of acetic acid. It typically contains 5 to 8% acetic acid by volume. Usually, the acetic acid is produced by the fermentation of ethanol or sugars by acetic acid bacteria. There are many types of vinegar depending on source materials.
And that's because it comes from sour wine. And our last episode, we brought up tannins. Now, apparently they're bad, but they're always mentioned in wine. And we still don't know if their high or low count is good or bad for wine, but winemakers make a big deal about it. So do the tannins go away when it becomes vinegar?
That I don't know. You'll have to look that up maybe while we're talking. But I had a friend who unfortunately died of breast cancer by the time she was 40, but she was English. And I remember her saying, they drink a lot of tea, but even then, this is back in the 90s, she goes, yeah, but that's not all that great because tea is so high in tannins. So, I don't think tannins is a wonderful thing. And I know that it also causes problems for people like me with histamine issues.
So I looked it up, and Google is not giving me a straight answer, but vinegar comes from things that have carbohydrates, sugars, tannins, and nutrients. So that is usually in like beer, wine, and sake. And it's helping the bacteria thrive to create the vinegar. So it didn't really answer my question.
I know apple cider vinegar is good for you. I mean, vinegar, we're going to find that vinegar is, something that can be useful. Definitely.
Yes. And actually, the first documented evidence of vinegar making and use was by the ancient Babylonians in around 3000 BC. Isn't that like, oh no, 300 is the movie. For some reason I had like
I'm like, I don't know this movie.
The 300, it's my favorite actor. He's 6 foot tall and gorgeous.
Oh, I thought it's not the grandpa crush.
No, not my grandpa crush. He plays opposite Katherine Heigl in like two, no, just one in The Ugly Truth. Gerard Butler, boom. He's
What's
the main
his name?
character of 300. Gerard Butler. He's
Oh,
over
really?
6 foot tall. He was a gorgeous man in his prime.
I was going to say, isn't he older now?
He probably is, yeah. But you know, the movies I watched with him are early 2000s, and he looks really good there. So, anyways, 3000 BC, not to be mixed up with 300. And the Babylonians primarily made vinegar from dates, figs, and beer, and used it for both culinary and medicinal purposes. The Greeks and Romans frequently used vinegar made from wine, which makes sense because the Greeks and Romans drank a lot of wine. They had gods. Dionysus, I don't know if he was Greek or Roman, was the god of wine.
That friend I just mentioned, from England, she was really interesting to talk to. They know their Greek mythology and the history and all the gods, which I never learned.
I had it in 7th grade.
I never learned it.
It was part of like my language arts class. I think we did a section on like myths.
Oh, apparently I didn't.
And then moved on.
To me, if make believe just wasn't, like, I want science. Give me science.
Oh my goodness. So, speaking of science, Louis Pasteur made the decisive discovery that a special type of bacteria, later known as acetic acid bacteria, was the agent of fermentation for vinegar production. In the 20th century, vinegar production was revolutionized by the invention of the submerged fermentation process that can cut production times down to 1 to 2 days. This allowed the massive production of cheap vinegar around the world. And if you were wondering, submerged fermentation is the process in which growth and decomposition, anaerobic and/or partially anaerobic, of substrates, i.e. carbohydrates, is accomplished by microorganisms in the presence of plenty of free water, a liquid medium. That was very scientific.
Yes. Okay, so we are not going to get all scientific-y, though, on our listeners. So let's just say there are many ways to produce vinegar, and depending on the method, you have very different outcomes. Hopefully you will explore different ones and find which one you prefer. We'll just name a few here, starting with fruit vinegars, which are made from fruit wines, usually without any additional flavoring. Common flavors of fruit vinegar include apple, black currant, which is our favorite. We had a wonderful black currant jelly we used to get in Germany.
Yes, we did.
It was yummy.
Delicious.
Raspberry, quince, which is a hard pear-shaped fruit used in preserves or as flavoring, and tomato. So typically the flavors of the original fruits remain in the final product.
And I think like apple cider vinegar is definitely the classic that everyone knows about.
Especially for health benefits, yeah.
Yeah. And it is made from cider or obviously apples. And the apples must. Ooh. That makes me think of like
musty.
Yeah. Or then musk, which makes me think of like stinky horses and stuff, right? Animals.
Spray, yeah.
So apple spray is freshly crushed fruit juice that contains the seeds, skins, and stems of the fruit, which actually in New England, they have the oldest cider press that is still in operation, and it is certified by ASME, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. So it has a little plaque, but it's almost, I don't know, like over 100 years old.
Very cool.
Yeah, and they still use it to make cider there. It's very tasty.
Right. That's why I like fall festivals. People bring out the their however they make cider. They pull them to the festivals and they just have that fresh.
They're so good. I know we're in winter now, but can we just go back to fall? I just want to live in fall.
I love fall.
Everything is great in fall.
Yes.
Anyways, okay. So this musk has a brownish golden color. It's sometimes sold unfiltered and unpasteurized with the mother of vinegar present. Why does everything have to be like reproductive-y and gross?
Oh, it's great. You get the, and Walmart sells it
The
now, get
mother of
the apple
vinegar.
cider vinegar with the mother. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay. It can be diluted with fruit juice or water or sweetened, usually with honey, for consumption.
Yeah. So coconut vinegar made from fermented coconut water or sap is used extensively in Southeast Asian cuisine, notably the Philippines, as well as in some cuisines of India and Sri Lanka.
Ooh. And balsamic vinegar is an aromatic aged vinegar produced in the Modena and Reggio Emilia provinces of Italy. I feel like you gotta say it like holding your middle finger and thumb together. Be like Reggio. The original product, traditional balsamic vinegar, is made from the concentrated juice or must of white Trebbiano grapes, which is cool because it's not white. It's a dark brown, rich, sweet, and complex little thing with the finest with the finest grades being aged in successive casks made of various oak, mulberry, chestnut, cherry, juniper, and ash wood. So, I mean, but again, that makes sense because it's basically like wine based because it's grapes. So it sounds like they're treating it like wine because wine, it really depends which cask it's in because then you get that taste in the wine and blah, blah, blah.
You do. Your grandmother and I went to a Christmas festival a few weeks ago, and I bought one of the wines, and that's when we'll get together at Christmas. And the wine was aged in a smoky, it was like some kind of whiskey barrel or something, but it was a smoke, and you could taste kind of the smoky flavor because it was a wine tasting. It was so good, and I did get a bottle of that. So yeah, it's amazing when they put them in these casks, how it changes the flavor. So those are some of the common vinegars we use on and in our food. But there are other very interesting uses for vinegar that perhaps our listeners do not know about.
And I bet there are medicinal uses because we are salty about what, Mom?
Health. So yes, we have medicinal uses for vinegar. So let's talk about some Dalaney, that we'll talk about. And I know she's tried many too, because we're just that kind of way. We do that kind of thing. I lately, my biggest thing with vinegar, I just have apple cider vinegar in my house, but to put it on your hair during a shower, and it makes it shinier. And it's good for your scalp, but it's really neat because it just brings out the shine in your hair. So we pulled these from Dr. Mercola's website, and we have added the link in our show notes. In the article, he is specifically talking about apple cider vinegar, which I noticed you can buy raw, organic with the mother at not only Walmart, but most stores. It has gotten so popular, you can buy it just about anywhere. There's very few stores, I think, that would not carry it.
Yeah. And of course, let's start off by saying that there are no official guidelines concerning taking vinegar internally. Some people take it 1 teaspoon a day, mixed in a glass of water before meals or in the morning, and report that they have benefits from doing so. The risk of taking small amounts of vinegar seems to be low, and research suggests it may have some real health benefits. For one, it seems to help diabetics. Vinegar is said to be anti-glycemic and has a beneficial effect on blood sugar levels. It's thought that the acetic acid in vinegar may lower blood sugar by preventing the complete digestion of complex carbohydrates, which is accomplished either by accelerating gastric emptying or increasing the uptake of glucose by bodily tissues. One study found that vinegar treatment improved insulin sensitivity in 19% of individuals with type 2 diabetes and 34% of those who were pre-diabetic.
So, yeah, that's amazing. So, let me say two things real quick here. We're going to get together for the holidays. We'll be together for Christmas. And Delaney makes all organic kind of goodies. So, if they do have sugar, we are gluten free, but if they have grains or sugars in them, it's all organic. And so, it sounds to me like we need to drink our apple cider vinegar while we're doing this. Yeah, no, I think that would be great. And as far as diabetes is concerned, that especially with the pandemic, it seems like people with insulin resistance suffer more.
Yeah.
And so this may be something to think about, if you have insulin resistance, to try it. I mean, I don't think with our
cure-all.
It's not a cure-all, but
By any
with our
means, but-
research, we find that it may not hurt you and it may help you.
Yeah.
So it may be something to look into. Vinegar seems to support heart health in multiple ways. As explained in the Journal of Food Science, polyphenols such as chlorogenic acid, which is present in high levels in apple cider vinegar, could inhibit oxidation of LDLs, which is low density lipoproteins, and improve health by preventing cardiovascular diseases. One study showed that vinegar could lower cholesterol in laboratory rats, while another study on rats found their blood pressure could be lowered by the acetic acid in vinegar. Vinegar has also been found to decrease triglyceride levels and very low the VLDL levels, the damaging form of cholesterol, in animal studies.
Cool. And another one, weight loss. Vinegar may help you lose weight as it appears to have an anti-obesity effect by increasing satiety and reducing the total amount of food consumed. So that's like when you're sated, right? Like that's where that
Satiated.
Word. Yes, yeah. You're satiated. Okay. For instance, when volunteers consumed a small amount of vinegar along with a high carb meal, a bagel and juice, they consumed less food for the remainder of the day. The reduction equated to about 200 to 275 calories a day, an amount that would result in a monthly weight loss of up to 1.5 pounds. In addition, separate research found taking vinegar along with bread not only lowered glucose and insulin responses, but also increased levels of satiety. The rating of satiety was directly related to the acetic acid level in the vinegar.
For sinus congestion, apple cider vinegar helps to break up and reduce mucus in your body, helping to clear your sinuses. It also has antibacterial properties, making it useful for infections. To combat infections, you can add a half to 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to a cup of warm filtered water, and then stir until it's thoroughly mixed. Then pour some of the mixture into your palm and then snort it up, one nostril at a time. Yes, you really need to make sure you have filtered water for that.
Yes. And if you have what is it, a neti pot or something? That would be maybe better application there.
Yeah, because then you have to, for here, you'd have to plug the other nostril with one hand
and snorting out of
the
your
other
hand.
Side. Yeah,
that sounds complicated.
Delaney had a neti pot at one point. I think last Christmas we got together and we tried it.
It's not a neti pot.
Okay, it just drains. It's pretty wild.
Well, yeah, but so this one comes with like a herbal mixture that you mix with water, and it is kind of specifically for congestion too, but I don't know. It's not vinegar. Maybe there might be vinegar in it. Who knows?
You could use it with vinegar, maybe.
Yeah.
She just taught me last Christmas we were together, and you just kind of put it up, and then if you breathe, it automatically comes out the other side.
Yeah, so don't breathe, else you're just gonna swallow whatever that is. But yeah, it's pretty. I mean, engineering, I like the pressure different stuff. So that's basically what it's using, because it has like the part that you stick in your nose, but then the part where you fill it, you put your thumb over it. So then when you like let go with your thumb, the back pressure actually forces it up and into your nose and out the other side of the nostril.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you siphon gas. Well, I haven't. I said that like I know how to do that. I just know what it looks like in movies, but it's like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So the antibacterial properties in apple cider vinegar may be useful for sore throats as well. So gargle with a mixture half apple cider and half warm water as needed. Salt water works too for sore throats, but maybe if you don't have, maybe try
and
both.
You know what
I
I've been using because I had a little bit of a sinus infection is colloidal silver. Actually, I put that down my nose, let it go down the back of my throat, and I also put it in my ears. And in your ears, you can put hydrogen peroxide for sore,
and for
ears,
build up,
and
your wax
salt.
build up.
Yeah. So
then drain it out. Don't just leave it in there.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's nice and warm when you let it out.
It is.
Like
it's like
after
when you're
you've
at the
been
pool,
in the ocean all day and you
ocean.
pee, then it's like really warm.
That's not where I was going. It was like literally when you like have water in your ear at the ocean.
I know, but when you've held it all day, you've been in a pool or the ocean.
Oh, and then go to a toilet. Yes. Yeah, I thought you were just like peeing.
Sorry, we're kind of off subject here. But another thing, and I don't know if we're going to cover this, but apple cider vinegar actually for a douche. If you do half, like you buy the ones at the store, just pour them out and put filtered water in half and half apple cider vinegar. And for the women, douche with that. It actually really helps the pH balance and the bacteria in your vagina. A little more information than people probably wanted to know, but hey, it works.
Because we're salty about what?
Yes. And anyway, so we're going to move on. This isn't what is it? Remember back in the 80s? Is it 80s or 90s? You weren't born, but the Dr. Drew.
Well, in the 90s I was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's still around, but he talked about sex all the time.
But I don't know. When I think of vaginas, I think of Oprah because it was always like, oh, vajayjay, like she couldn't say it.
Oh, I think also Joan Rivers always said you're vajayjay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, on news, right? Oh, comedian.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a comedian. Anyway, we're totally gonna get back to our subject.
Vinegar,
yay. So acid reflux typically results from having too little acid in your stomach, and I hope our listeners, that was important. I'll just say it again. Acid reflux typically results from having too little acid in your stomach. So if you have acid reflux or heartburn, try to do this or use something like a digestive.
Or what we talked about a few episodes ago, DGL licorice, right?
Yes, licorice, but try to use apple cider vinegar because it actually is like 90% of the time it's too little, not too much, and they'll give you acid inhibitors and it's just not what heals it. But anyway, so you can easily improve the acid content of your stomach by taking 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar in a large glass of water daily. And yes, you do want a large glass, at least 8 ounces. The pectin in apple cider vinegar may also help to soothe intestinal spasms. In addition, apple cider vinegar not only effectively stimulates digestive juices that help the body break down food, but it also contains healthy acids like isobutyric, acetic, and lactic acid that can control the growth of unwanted yeast and bacteria in your stomach and throughout your body. And they also say people who have if you have indigestion and all that, and not enough acid power in your stomach to digest your food, and it gives you heartburn. Again, there are digestive enzymes, but also some people find it for those people who still have all their natural teeth and no caps, chew gum, 20 minutes before you eat because it gets your digestive juices going.
Well, that goes into the whole thing where making your own food. Like there's a reason for that too, because you smelling the food
Exactly.
activates your digestive system, so then it's ready when you eat dinner. So
Yes.
that's why it takes time to cook. One of the reasons it's good that it takes time to
Yes.
cook.
Yes.
And prepare your food, as we've been learning through all this, is that everything that we eat quickly, apparently we need to prepare for longer periods of time.
Yes.
So
It's like the Europeans, it's a social event.
it is, yeah.
Food really is, and it's something to really enjoy.
Mhm.
Have a kitchen with a big table where people can sit around, and as you're making it, you talk and whatever, drink wine or
Yeah.
water or whatever you drink. And it should be a very relaxed atmosphere when you eat.
Mhm.
And then you absorb the nutrients better, you're less stressed, you have a good time, you relax with your family or friends.
Yeah. Apple cider vinegar also works for a variety of skin ailments, from bug bites to poison ivy to sunburn. I've personally used it for the sunburn, and it is so cool because you're like, ooh, vinegar is acidic equals like creates heat. Why would I put it on my sunburn? When you put it on sunburn, it makes your skin ice cold instantly, and it's such a relief. It just leaches out all of that trapped heat from the burn. It's the weirdest, coolest experience. You then smell like apple cider vinegar, so I suggest a shower a few hours later. But anyways, you can either apply it directly to the irritated area or try soaking in a bath with about 1 cup of vinegar added. So I did the undiluted. I just like dumped it on my body and it felt amazing. But maybe take a bath in it. That'd be cool.
That, put in your magnesium salt and essential oils and oh yeah, definitely. So topical application of apple cider vinegar may help remove warts, likely because of high levels of acetic acid it contains. You can try soaking a cotton ball in vinegar and applying it to the wart covered, overnight. This most likely will have to be done every night for a while, but eventually.
Apple cider vinegar also contains potassium and enzymes that help banish fatigue. Plus, its amino acids may help prevent the buildup of lactic acid in your body, further preventing fatigue. And lactic acid, as we all know, is what our muscles create when we work out and why we're sore after we work out.
And studies have found that apple cider vinegar plays a role in liver detoxification and may stimulate circulation. It also has healing properties that can affect the skin and blood and eliminate harmful environmental toxins in the body. Apple cider vinegar can also cleanse the lymph nodes and promote better lymph circulation, which can contribute to improved immune system response, which is important because the lymph is not a muscle, and so it's hard to move. And so you have to get on a rebounder or do, jumping jacks or something. And in Ayurvedic medicine, the lymph system is very important, and it is very important to us. It's, basically helps us fight infection, etc. And so we need to move that and exercise that. I mean, you can get a deep, massage too, a tissue massage, which is really nice too. But on a daily basis, you want to exercise your lymph system any way you can. So if you're not really active, this may be something you can do.
And also, I think we've talked about this before, but too much candida bacteria, which is actually a naturally occurring yeast in our body, but it has been linked to many different health issues, including yeast infections, fatigue, poor memory, depression, headache, and sugar cravings. So when you have a candida overgrowth, which Mom and I have both experienced, it usually happens when the body has insufficient good bacteria in your system. And because apple cider vinegar is fermented with a beneficial yeast, it can serve as a prebiotic for healthy bacteria, essentially helping good bacteria grow.
You can also clean with vinegar. So not only is it good for your health, it's good for the environment. Most people just use distilled white vinegar. So cleaning with vinegar is an easy and expensive way to kill 99% of all germs without toxins or harmful chemicals. The key ingredient and the thing which makes white vinegar especially good for cleaning and disinfecting is acetic acid. Acetic acid, according to the Heinz Company, kills salmonella and E. coli bacteria. So look up, on the internet ways to clean with vinegar.
And actually, my best friend, she just used one of my pans in the kitchen and burnt the bottom, but
I know who that is. I'm going to talk to
her. But she fixed it because if you take apple cider vinegar or just vinegar, I don't think we had apple cider vinegar at that time, so she used just like white vinegar, I think. If you put it in the pan, the burnt pan, and then boil it and then wipe it, it actually gets rid of that and fixes it.
Yes, and you know how I figured something like that out when I was first married and a young cook and I burned things, but next time I used the pan and I used to make a lot of spaghetti and spaghetti sauces and tomatoes. Tomato sauce would take it off because it's very acidic.
Yes. So you did that, but you still like to boil over things, but that's okay.
That's
your special talent. It's very impressive.
Well, that's why I don't like what are the flat top stoves?
Yeah.
I like the other old fashioned because it just goes
it just goes away.
No, it goes into where I've put the foil lining, and that's because I do too much and I get preoccupied. It's not because I'm not paying
you're an
attention.
Excellent cook.
I will go off and I'll start doing laundry and everything else and it will boil over because I don't have the patience to wait.
That's
yes.
Okay. But now you could just clean up the stovetop with vinegar, probably.
There you go.
So, according to thespruce.com, which I think I was just on that. Is that a blog?
I don't know.
I think our drinks that we're currently having,
really?
Looked up the
Wow.
recipe on that. I think it's a blog. So shout out to thespruce.com. You can use vinegar.
Nuts and berries. That's our drink.
Nuts and berries.
Of the evening.
Which matches because it's the spruce. That's pretty great. Okay. You can use vinegar in your laundry, which again, also same roommate, friend. She uses vinegar in her laundry. They say that using inexpensive distilled white vinegar in laundry will whiten, brighten, reduce odor, and soften clothes without harsh chemicals. Vinegar is safe to use in both standard and high-efficiency washers and is beneficial to septic tanks and the environment. All types of vinegar contain acetic acid that works to do the brightening, softening, and killing of the odors in your laundry. So when buying vinegar to use in the laundry, we would say you probably want to choose the distilled white vinegar just because it's clear, it contains no tannins. Well, okay,
there you go.
Defined tannins for me. It is a natural plant dye. So I'm assuming red wine has more tannins than white wine then, right? Because it's no...
Which is interesting because I have a histamine issue, and when my histamine's under control, I can drink wine, and I only drink red wine, because white wine will give me a headache, and that's like the opposite.
Well, I think white wine is usually, it's not always usually sweeter.
I won't even taste white wine. It's
so there's something else. Anyways, we have laid the tannins issue to rest. It's been quite the saga.
How many episodes have we been talking
about?
I know. Tannins, what?
Tannins. Anyways, so those tannins, the natural plant dyes, they can potentially stain clothes. So go with the white vinegar.
Yeah, and it's so inexpensive for gallons of it. I really can't stress enough how we don't need to use the harsh chemicals that are, estrogen disruptors and everything in our body when we have natural products we can use like vinegar.
Yes. In fact, a lot of stores have, if you're really into, maybe you're like, oh, but I need my Clorox wipe to like wipe down stuff. You can transition to vinegar wipes because they make them. So they came in the same kind of little container with the little wipey things, but it's just vinegar.
Oh, very nice.
Based stuff on the wipe, and you can wipe down with that instead.
Very nice. Okay, so perhaps our listeners can let us know what they use vinegar for around the house. And I know some of our listeners really have some great recipes because I talk to my clients and I know they do. Or if they have had any added health benefits from adding apple cider vinegar into their diet. And I know a lot of the clients will do that too in the warm water or just in the water in the morning and sip it. Though I do want to warn those listeners that have histamine issues that taking vinegar internally is probably not a good idea. It is considered a high histamine food and as is any pickled food, and it can give you problems if you have a histamine issue. But saying that, also, what they will say is apple cider vinegar is the best if you are going to, especially those people with histamine issues. And I think the people, if they know they have histamine issues, they know if their histamine bucket is low, they've been eating low histamine foods and not histamine stimulating foods, etc., they can probably do that, because I've now included every morning in my routine it's a no sugar added, no fat, just a plain yogurt, and I can get away with doing that, a little bit of that every day, because I really watch my histamine levels. And I know for histamine, people with histamine issues, and we will do an episode sometime on that, no fermented, no aged, no blah, blah, blah. So but if you do watch your histamine levels, you can do, a little bit of something sometimes.
Yeah, so just to wrap up and tell our listeners about vinegar and the Black Plague, because why not? According to legend, in France during the Black Plague, 4 thieves were able to rob houses of plague victims without being infected themselves. When finally caught, the judge offered to grant the men their freedom on the condition that they revealed how they managed to stay healthy. They claimed that a medicine woman sold them a potion made of garlic soaked in soured red wine, aka vinegar. Variants of the recipe called Four Thieves Vinegar has been passed down for hundreds of years and is a staple of New Orleans hoodoo practice. Oh, so is hoodoo different from voodoo?
That I don't know. I've been to New
Cool.
Orleans, and it's interesting. Everybody, if you get a chance, go to New Orleans. But they do the voodoo and the hoodoo, and I think I did look that up, but apparently the Four Thieves vinegar is
Yeah.
something that is beneficial if you're going to rob people's places that have something the Black Plague is going on.
So if you know anyone with the bubonic plague and want to hit the plague, here you go.
Hey, that was, the rats and the Garden of the Gods in Colorado, they tell you to stay on the trails because they still do carry the plague.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously. We lived there, and if it was a warning, they were, what are they? They were some kind of ground rodent that,
so not a rat?
I don't think it was a rats, but they have rodents in the Garden of the Gods, and they do tell you to stay on the trails because the fleas, which carry the plague, actually is still alive and well. This was in the 90s, but still, you think, wow. And I remember reading that, and they just say don't go off the trail because that's still alive and well there.
Wow.
So take your vinegar and go to the Garden of the
Take
Gods.
your Four Thieves vinegar.
Yes. And enjoy the trails and go off the trails.
Just go wild. No, don't do that.
That's a joke. We're being facetious.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. And again, we want to hear from you guys. We always want to hear from you guys. Please, please, please reach out to us. And here are just a few ways that you can do that. You can reach out via Instagram and Facebook. Find us at Salty About Health. Even Snapchat at Salty Health. You can email us at saltyabouthealth@gmail.com. Or if you just want to find all that in one place, check out our website, saltyabouthealth.com. We've got all the ways for you to listen and connect there. And finally, if you like what you hear today, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. We really appreciate it. So, Mom, if they want to hear from you on social media, where can they find you?
Okay, I am a certified health coach and I do coach one-on-one. So if you're interested, you can contact me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com. I also do research for people who are interested in finding alternative approaches to do in conjunction with the health issue or illness their doctor is treating them for. So again, just reach out to me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com or follow me on Twitter at feedyourselfhealthy, which is spelled FEEDURSELFHLTHY. That's where they can find me.
Cool. Okay. And if you guys want to find me, I'm not a health coach, but I'm on Instagram hanging out there at Dalaney.a. Find out how to spell my name in the show notes and everything. And of course, I'll be the one mainly keeping an eye on the social media. So always happy to chat with you guys via the Salty Network. Also, just want to shout out our intro and outro music. It is by Yule, and you can find her at www.yulearts.com. That's EULARTS. You can also find her on Instagram at Yule_arts or Spotify and YouTube. Check her out. Her piano music and everything else is amazing. And until next time, stay salty.
Stay salty.